This was a trap. This was a setup. They're going to hang MAGA out to dry. The idea that MAGA supposedly represented. Here is the QAnon shaman. They're calling this an attempted coup. Meanwhile, some of them apparently were let in for photo ops and followed around by professional photographers for all the great imagery, for all their headlines to talk about the white supremacist. This is what really went down.
Fucking Patriots. Hey! Fucking hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are fucking Patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Yes.
You good, sir? Do you need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
I got shot in the face. Where are they? I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't...
Is there any chance, mind you, and they're doing investigations into this now. I doubt they'll go anywhere. They'll be whitewashed. But they had been hyping this wild, chaotic event, basically Declaration of Independence, 1776, the revolution, and they allowed these people just to get into the Capitol. Where were the reinforcements? Was the Pentagon standing down? Did they stand down the National Guard to allow this to happen, to get this photo op, to allow this to happen? It seems completely staged and set up.
Disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know, this is like the sacredest place.
This is like the sacredest place, so just to let you guys know, I mean, this is a joke. This is such a joke. And what did these guys think that they were going to do? Did this guy really think that he was going to, by standing up behind the podium in the Capitol, by storming the Capitol, that they were going to help Trump stay in power? It's so retarded. There's no way that this plan was going anywhere. This was set up to fall from the beginning.
I know. Hey! Fucking hey, man.
There he is with the professional photographer doing his Braveheart yell or whatever. Now we have this one. Remember I showed this girl the other day? FBI is seeking Riley June Williams on multiple charges after the breach of the Capitol. QAnon told me it was special for... Oh, wait, here. They're claiming that she's the one that got Pelosi's laptop. And by the way, they're saying this is a white supremacist raid. Does this girl look like a fellow white to you? I'm not sure about the name, but she looked fellow white to me in the other video. Anyway, they said that she had the laptop. She was ratted out by her ex-boyfriend, by the way, who saw her on video. And they said she had the laptop and she was trying to sell it to Russia. That's the story that they're giving. And I'm not sure if she's arrested or if they're just trying to find her. Can't remember. What do we have here? Judeo-Christian neocon QAnon psyop exposed by my friend Expose the Enemy, John Swin. This is a great video. I'm going to play just a minute of it. And then, actually, before I do that, I wanted to show one thing. Oh, here's Trump backing pillow salesman, visits White House suggesting declaring martial law. That's the patriot to have the Zionist declare martial law and colludes with Kufi, Christians United for Israel, who literally are undeclared lobbyists for the IDF. That's what John Hagee is. But what I wanted to show you first before we get into the John Swin video. Here we go. Remember, Zach Voorhees teamed up with Project Veritas. This is the headline I wake up to this morning. So not only did we have the Israeli who raided the Capitol, the Israeli Trump supporter who raided the Capitol, not only did we have the 8 buses of Orthodox Jews that were bussed in to attend the rally, not only do we have the son of the Orthodox Brooklyn judge, who they don't even show, they show the wrong photo. This isn't him. They let this guy in for the photo op too. FBI agents raid Brooklyn home of pelt-wearing Orthodox man in Capitol mob. It's funny, everybody on the right now, Trump Jr. and the right wing is claiming that this Orthodox Jewish rioter was a left-wing agitator despite lack of evidence. He and his father were registered Democrats, but they did an interview with him, and he seemed like a QAnon Trump supporter to me. And let's not pretend that the ultra-Orthodox Chabad Lubavitch community doesn't love Trump, because they obviously do, but they're trying to distance themselves. And again, Esau puts on the skins to pretend to be, Jacob puts on the skins to try to be Esau. We're literally seeing it play out. I did a whole video on that last week. It's up on BitChute. Jacob wearing pelts to trick Isaac. Exactly. He's also seen, when he was arrested, he was seen wearing a Project Veritas hat. And they're calling him Antifa to try to distance themselves. So not only him, not only QAnon and all the Zionists, not only Proud Boys, who was founded by a Zionist, not only the Israeli that's in the Capitol, they're making it all out to be white supremacists, and it's all Jews, by the way. And remember, the ADL attacked me, yours truly. Come on, why did that disappear? Where they say, many were united in their belief that the events on January 6th were either planned by Jews or revealed the extent of Jewish and Zionist influence over the American democratic system. Imagine calling people that notice the Zionist influence over our politics an anti-Semite. And then they go on to talk about my buddy Angelo, who says, turning out in the streets for a disgraced Zionist fraud. And then Adam Green, who they say speculated that pro-Trump rioters were manipulated by Jews, which is not a quote. I more likely said Zionist because it's evangelical CNP Zionist as well. And supporters of Israel to riot in order to discredit President Trump. No, it's to discredit President Trump's MAGA followers, his MAGA duped followers, so that they could empower a Biden administration to implement a repressive agenda. I am 100% right, ADL. And now, this morning, the evidence just keeps coming out. This morning, we have U.S. Jewish umbrella group grant to far-right group linked to D.C. riot was an anomaly. Oh, it's an anomaly. Sure, the Jews were funding the far-right group, but it's just an anomaly. They're not responsible, of course. Am I going to get a retraction, ADL, for showing all the evidence that you guys didn't even try to refute of Zionist involvement in all of this? And then my article, also, Project Veritas. Project Veritas, funded by the San Francisco Jewish Federation, also funding far-right fringe groups, not just Canary Mission. So the same Canary Mission funded by Zionist billionaires that slanders anybody that criticizes Israel, tries to get them fired and puts them on lists and targets them to be banned. The same people funding Canary Mission, who attacks me, is funding Project Veritas. These include the highly controversial Project Veritas. That's 100,000 in 2016. And again, I think it was 150,000 in 2018. Run by James O'Keefe. Also, the Diller Foundation is the one who funded this. Is obviously Zionists who funded it through the Jewish Federation of San Francisco. Along with gifts to other groups that have been connected with promoting hate and suspicion of Muslims, as well as political right-wing organizations that have no connection to Israeli or Jewish causes, such as the Tea Party Patriots, 150,000 in 2016. Well, guess what? Back again, it's the Tea Party Patriots that they're talking about in this article that funded this rally. Donor gave money via San Francisco Jewish Federation to Tea Party Patriots, a group that denies funding the Capitol insurrection, though organizers of the riot say they did, so they're lying about it. Tea Party Patriots. Tea Party Patriots. Put some parentheses around that, if you ask me. And, okay, back. Here we go. More of these. What else do I want to read here? They also funded VDare. Peter Brimlow, who endorsed and donated to Laura Loomer's campaign. Also, they funded Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller, two more Zionists. to oppose the alleged spread of Islamic law across the United States. Yeah, they'll talk about Sharia law, but will never tell you about Noahide laws. The ADL said the group, which received 150,000, has sought to rouse public fears about vast Islamic conspiracy to destroy American values. Yes, focus on the Muslims. Get them fighting, Ishmael and Esau fighting together. So, that is Zionist funding Project Veritas connected to Zach Voorhees. There's your connection. Canary Mission as well. So I hope the ADL likes that. Despite Trump's behavior, we Israelis must remember who had our back. Trump gave them everything the last 4 years, and he sabotaged America first in America and white America. And the way the ADL quoted, oh, I forgot something. John Swin, again. John Swin, the world, or expose the enemy. You can see here, Robert Mercer funding Rebel Media, Zionist, where Gavin McInnes worked, and Tommy Robinson, focus on the Muslims, keep it completely kosher. There's Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, connected to Nina Rosenwald, and we got Robert Shulman, David Horowitz, Laura Loomer, Jack Posobiec, Robert Spencer, Pamela Geller, all the Zionist networks here. More on Robert Mercer in a second, who funded Ali Akbar, one of the main organizers of the Stop the Steal rallies. Gatestone Institute here with Rosenwald. This is the Zio, Shulman, Mercer, Rosenwald, Alt Media, Zio Network. This is by John Swin, Expose the Enemy. We're going to get to his video here in a second. So they're still, they're like, well, Trump did everything good for us, and yeah, we supported him, but yeah, now we're going to all turn, after he gave them everything, they're all going to turn on America. Arizona GOP chair urged violence at the Capitol. The Mercers, Robert Mercer, Zionists, spent $1.5 million supporting her, and she, who tweeted, "Cross the Rubicon," I did a video about that, they all wanted Trump to be dictator. Ward's Arizona Republican Party retweeted Ali Alexander, one of the organizers of the event, who is regularly on Alex Jones promoting this, and who is close friends with Andrew Meyer, the Zionist Kabbalist Jew who I've debated several times, and who recently blocked me for pointing out Ali Akbar's connections to the Mercers and the Council for National Policy. What's up, Andrew? Can't handle the truth, buddy? Anyway, Ali Alexander, who said, quote, "He's willing to give my life for this fight." The Arizona GOP said, "He is, are you?" Literally trying to get people to go sacrifice their lives, and they went and did it. Yeah, VDARE got funded with the Bitcoin as well, too, the big Bitcoins donations. Good point. Later that day, the Arizona GOP tweeted, "This is what we do, who we are, live for nothing or die for something." Ward's Wool, so remember, Ward is heavily funded by Robert Mercer. Rebecca Mercer were the largest donors to her super PAC in 2016 and 2018. You know she's a big Israel supporter. I bet I could search it. Yeah, they're saying the Bitcoin came from a French dude. Maybe that's true. Will we really know? So Mercer's funding Ward. The Mercers funded many groups pushing the baseless claims about the election. And yes, the ADL, the Mercers are Zionist. It's not an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory for me to say so. Rebecca Mercer is also a top investor in Parler, the new social media company, and has equity stake in Breitbart News. Remember, founded in Jerusalem with Netanyahu to be pro-Israel, fake patriot propaganda in America, to help them subvert and exploit our country in the name of patriotism, giving everything to Israel. Breitbart, who also promoted the idea the election was stolen, and is a close associate of Trump advisor Steve Bannon, former and now current and probably always Trump advisor Steve Bannon, who grovels to Sheldon Adelson and speaks at Zionist Organization of America and takes photos hugging Shmuley Boteach, the rabbi, with the whiteboard behind him saying that they're going to move the embassy. Steve Bannon also affiliated with the Council for National Policy, as is, I believe, Kellyanne Conway, but I might be getting her mixed up with Betsy DeVos, and General Flynn, who is connected to CNP. Robert Mercer, who funds the CNP, Zionist. The CMP is Zionist. You should have seen their round of applause when Trump mentioned what he did for Israel. And Robert Mercer was one of the major investors in Cambridge Analytica, doing all the data mining on behalf of Trump. And Robert Mercer gave $150,000 in 2014 to Ali Alexander, who was a former senior advisor to the Black Conservative Funds. The Mercers gave $200,000 to the Gatestone Institute. The Gatestone Institute is the group that hands out the Defender of Zion Awards. This is Zionist psyop from top to bottom, and the ADL wants to say that I'm making it up and that it's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. What's up? Expose the enemy. Kellyanne Conway worked for the Mercer family as their spokesperson before joining Trump. I'm happy you're here, Expose the enemy. Everybody should be following him on YouTube and on Twitter. John Swin, one of the best researchers out there. One of the only sane people out there as well. Anyway, Robert Mercer bankrolled PAC advised by notorious fringe, quote, philosopher Ali Alexander. Stop the Steal organizer funded by Zionist should be headline. Here's Ali Alexander, where he says, he's at a point in his study where I believe a civil war is more likely than not. They literally were egging this whole thing on. I'm stopped consulting on campaigns because I believe, quote, or I'll be painted as toxic. I inform citizen about what I call the Lockean justification. Tyrants must be killed. It's moral, he says. They were whipping these people up. There's a term for it when you're trying to a wind-up doll. They wanted a wind-up doll to go do something, and who will it benefit? Ali Alexander says, white males, they hate us. Okay, hold on. He says, maybe if I converted from Christianity to Islam, CARE would fight ADL National for me. I'm more pro-Israel than the ADL, he says. So as the ADL runs cover that Ali Alexander is a philo-Semite Zionist funded, they're calling him and his movement white supremacist and anti-Semitic. No, I can't get lemons, Sean Hammer. I was demonetized. Thanks to all of these idiots that went and marched and rioted and stormed the Capitol for the Zog Emperor Trump. He says, I've sponsored Christians United for Israel students to CPAC for goodness sakes. Again, another Zionist connection. 100% of his current business partners are Jewish, and yet they still call him anti-Semitic. And then we have the right calling the ADL anti-Semitic, or that they hate, or that they're not pro-Israel. Such a false paradigm going on here. Here's Ali Alexander saying, that he's going to die or get killed. They really speak a big game, but then they were nowhere to be found. They let all their dupes go sacrifice their lives for him. We have the growth of excuse me, sorry. We got we're just going to go through some of these headlines and then watch John Swin. We're going to finish by watching John Swin's video. The growth. What does that sound like? Growth. The growth of right-wing extremism in Orthodox Jewish community might seem surprising to some, but others are less shocked that Brooklyn Jews stormed the Capitol alongside white supremacists. No, it's Jewish supremacists, and you act like these white supremacist anti-Semites worship Trump or something. Trump is a philo-Semitic Zionist pawn that betrayed America first and gave everything to Israel. Enough with this deception. The alert tweeted by a college student was vague. A man in a MAGA hat near West Virginia was apparently asking for the location of local synagogues and mosques. I'm sure, just like Jesse Smollett, got attacked by the MAGA hats. Same thing going on. And nobody wants an attack to happen in the next 2 days more than the ADL. Nobody will benefit more. Nobody wants it more. And yet they complain. They pretend like it's not the case. Headline USA Today: anger over perceived censorship. Perceived, 70,000 people that the ADL demanded be banned. QAnon accounts all banned, but it's just a perceived censorship. There isn't mass purges all over social media. It's just perceived censorship. That's the mainstream media headlines that they have going here. By social media is bridging the divide between far-right extremist groups and Trump supporters. There you go. All Trump supporters now, anybody that's conservative or America First now is labeled a domestic terrorist extremist. Researchers say that solidarity could increase the likelihood of violence over the weekend and on Inauguration Day. Oh, did they think that banning all the top QAnon people isn't going to make some QAnon person go and snap? They know it is. They know it's going to make somebody freak out and feel like when you have no voice, what else can you do? They want that they're trying to push somebody over the edge and make somebody snap so it'll benefit their agenda. And we know it. That's the design. They hope it'll happen. We have extremists are using encrypted channels to plan for Inauguration Day violence. It really seems like they're praying for something to happen, or they have a big thing set up. A big false flag is going to happen. Yeah, guys, I still keep saying it. If you guys want to support, you can't send lemons anymore. Even though I don't support any of this, I was demonetized from DLive. Here's another one. Associated Press. Podcast rife with misinformation. Remain on social platforms like Apple and Google as extremists exploit a loophole. So they consider banning you from everywhere, and then you want to have a podcast. That's considered a loophole. Like it's something illegal to have a podcast. Freedom of speech is a loophole to these tyrants. Loophole, the podcast loophole. As if podcasts are some kind of like thing that like aren't ubiquitous in our world right now. They call it a loophole. Richard Blumenthal, and now to show how whites are being scapegoated for all of this, Richard Blumenthal, Jewish, says extremist ideology threatens to compromise the unity and effectiveness of our armed forces and jeopardize our national security. Glad to see the Department of DOD agree with the letter 13 senators and I sent calling for an investigation. An investigation into white supremacist anti-Semites in the government. Department of Defense, Richard Blumenthal, purging the military so that they can go send them over, the ADL can go send them over to Israel and train and get their ADL indoctrination. Next we have Daily Beast. Other countries have domestic spy agencies to fight extremists at home. Does America need one too? Oh, of course. Of course they do, Daily Beast says. That's written by Jeff Stein, another fellow white. The Patriot Act was set up for the Patriots all along, and now they're going to roll out Patriot Act 2 thanks to Trump and retarded QAnon followers. We've got Apple sued for not removing Telegram from App Store over violent content in hate groups. That is done by Ambassador Mark Ginsburg, who was raised in Israel. First Jewish American to be appointed as an ambassador to a country in the Arab world. Again, every single time, literally, an Israeli trying to censor. We have free speech in America, Israelis. Do you not understand that? Apparently you don't. The attacks on white people have been intensifying over the last 4 years under Trump. They use him as the boogeyman and the villain to do this. Now he's going to pull out the rug from all of his followers, and they're going to be destroyed. Now we have Vox headline, white women built white supremacy too. Oh yeah, it started with the white men, and a lot of the women joined in with the chorus, but now they're coming for you too. We have time. Like I literally do these videos, and I sometimes pause, and I don't even like saying like there's a war on white people. There's a war on white American Christians and Europeans. But then we literally see headlines like white American Christianity needs to be honest about its history of white supremacy, writes Carrie Wallace for Time. Time magazine is owned by every single timer. Hold on. Mark Benioff. Mark Benioff is Jewish. Again, white American Christianity. That's who the war is on. That is Edom that they're trying to destroy. And their pawn, fake Zionist leader, Trump, is going to facilitate the destruction of Edom and Amalek. Next up, we have Ben and Jerry's. 2 Jews. Saying, yesterday was not a protest, it was a riot to uphold white supremacy. We literally have, this is the face of white supremacy. Looks like Sam Hyde, but an Orthodox Jew here wearing fur pelts. That's white supremacy. QAnon is white supremacy. I saw somebody in the comments a minute ago say that they talked to their family member or their neighbor and they said QAnon is white supremacy. That's what the media is teaching you. That it was a white supremacy march. There's one guy, one retard in a Nazi shirt, and then the media also put around everywhere that there was another guy with a Nazi shirt, but it turned out that was a photo from a year before, shows their deception and their media duplicity. We have Al Jazeera, who supposedly is anti-Zionist, but they always find a way to blame whiteness in America and the West for Zionism, like we see here in this headline, the Zionist fallacy of Jewish supremacy. Framing Zionism as Jewish and not white supremacy is a dangerous proposition. So yes, Jewish supremacy isn't Jewish, it's white. That's literally what they try to say. Always trying to scapegoat the West. Here we have Time again. If Donald Trump wins a second term, blame white people. Blame white people. AOC proposes funding to deprogram white supremacists. We have Washington Post. To understand Trump's support, we must think in terms of multiracial whiteness. So even though it's not all white, it's still whiteness. It's just multiracial whiteness. Multiracial whiteness is just another term for struggling with the fact that some of the people who disagree with you are brown or aren't white. Angelo John Gage, who I need to get back soon, makes a good point. He says here, imagine if the Israeli government considered Jews the #1 terror threat to Israel. You'd ask yourself, who the hell took over Israel? Yet people don't use the same logic when it comes to the obsession with the meme of white supremacy in the United States. Opinion, America's white liberal media is complicit in Trump's rise and his insurrection. Even white people on the left are to blame. Maurice Pinet says, Jews engineered and financed Trump's rise and his scapegoating, which goy progressives are piling on as they always do. Wannabe Jews that they are. I don't get that part. Here's my tweet the other day. There is a concerted effort to make anti-Semitism illegal, which I just showed in my BitChute video a couple streams ago. What QAnon is distracting you from, the agenda to make anti-Semitism illegal. There is a concerted effort to make anti-Semitism illegal while anti-white sentiments are broadcast constantly by the media and politicians. You tell me who is in charge here. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who has the institutional power and where the real supremacist threat lies and who the real supremacists are. The ones that think they're chosen by God and destined to have the Gentiles serve them and rule the world. That's the most supremacist creed on earth. Let's see. Okay. We have another anti-Zionist Jew here from Code Pink, Ariel Gold, always scapegoating white people for Jewish supremacy. We have breaking. Sheldon Adelson has died. the world will be a safer place without his racist hatred and funding of white supremacy. The guy that funds birthright foundations. Birthright. They have the birthright of being chosen. The birthright where Esau has to serve his brother. She always finds a way. This is controlled opposition where they always blame America for Jews, for what Jewish control and Jewish supremacy and for what Israel does. This is her purpose. Funding of white supremacy, Sheldon Adelson. Here's just the way the narrative changes. Jake Tapper, Jewish, from CNN. U.S. says Capitol rioters intended to capture and assassinate elected officials. And a few days later, no direct evidence of plot to kidnap or kill lawmakers in U.S. Capitol attack. Well, then why were those idiots in there with zip ties? I saw the photos of the guys with zip ties. Mind you, they're talking all day about white supremacist organizations and everybody's a white supremacist. This is the same media that runs complete cover for Antifa, says that they're not an organization. They're just an idea, they say. And then meanwhile, Atlanta anti-fascist says white supremacists were plotting to kill a couple that they believe to be members of our organization. Not an organization, huh? ADL here, this is great. There is a distinct difference between criminal doxing, a common tactic of white supremacists, and others to facilitate the stalking of and terrorizing of targets, and the important reporting of extremists and hateful activity. Our laws must clearly reflect that. In other words, the ADL says, doxing is evil unless we do it. Doxing for us, but no doxing for you, the kings of double standard. Once again, I can't imagine why anybody would hate these people. It's just incredible. Here we have anti-Zionists and members of QAnon are the same to me. Is that why QAnon was promoted so heavily by so many Zionists, as I showed? Like Roseanne and Jerome Corsi. Okay, I think that is the end. And now we're going to watch Expose the Enemy. I'm going to share this link right now. Everybody make sure to go sub to his channel. He deserves way more followers and views on this video. You guys can watch the whole thing. We're going to watch the first few minutes. And I'm going to shut up and not pause either. This is John Swin, Expose the Enemy. His title of his video, Judeo-Christian Neocon QAnon PSYOP Exposed.
Hello there, this is John Swin. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. This video will be covering information regarding Paul E. Vallely and his role in PSYOPs, Delta Force, his role at Fox News, the Iraq War, the Tea Party, and alternative media. Paul E. Vallely, born November 29th, 1939, is a retired US Army Major General and senior military analyst for Fox News. He served in the Vietnam War and retired in 1993 as Deputy Commanding General, Pacific Command. In 2004, together with retired Air Force Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, Vallely co-authored the book Endgame, The Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. So an interesting note to begin with is, in 2007, Alex Jones released a documentary film called Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. As far as the General Vallely co-authored book goes, I guess we should listen to the guy who helped lobby the public into supporting the Iraq War, with the narrative of being an effort to combat terrorism, on how to end the quote-unquote war on terror. General Vallely serves as the military committee chairman for Frank Gaffney's Center for Security Policy. The Center for Security Policy is financed by major military-industrial complex corporations such as General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing and Raytheon, as well as big foundations such as the Sarah Scaife Foundation, the Bradley Foundation and Templeton Foundation, as well as Zionist billionaires such as Nina Rosenwald. Frank Gaffney and his associates and extended groups such as the Committee on the Present Danger China, Islamophobia Network that include the likes of Daniel Pipes, David Horowitz, Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller, serve the interests of their financiers. General Vallely is no different in that respect. Working for the Centre for Security Policy, Vallely would occasionally write articles and give lectures on the War on Terror. Some of his public statements have caused controversy, such as proclaiming that we are not going to permit a Shiite victory in an Iraqi election, and claiming that the War on Terror is a war between Islam and Judeo-Christianity. That's what's going on. If you don't understand that, then you don't get it, said General Vallely. Vallely's religious war ideology is one similar to Eric Prince's religious crusade rhetoric held by many of his close associates during his time operating the private military group Blackwater, who received government contracts to operate in Iraq.
The slaughter of civilians for sport, weapons smuggling, destruction.
Remember, Eric Prince and Blackwater also trained Project Veritas, another connection there, and is involved with the Council for National Policy.
Of evidence, wholesale corruption, and finally murder. In our third story in the countdown, a full-fledged criminal enterprise executed by the military contractors known formerly as Blackwater, according to the sworn testimony of two of its employees. The Nation's Jeremy Scahill, who broke the story, joins us in a moment. The details come straight from two sworn affidavits filed late last night by persons whose identities have been sealed to protect their identity, men who have previously cooperated with federal prosecutors in the criminal inquiry into Blackwater. From John Doe No. 2, a former member of Blackwater's management team, quoting the affidavit, it appears that Mr. Eric Prince, Blackwater's founder, and his employees murdered or had murdered one or more persons who have provided information or who were planning to provide information to the federal authorities about the ongoing criminal conduct. On several occasions after my departure from Mr. Prince's employ, Mr. Prince's management has personally threatened me with death and violence. John Doe No. 2 also stating that Mr. Prince, pictured here, smuggled unlawful weapons into Iraq, including sawed-off semi-automatic machine guns with silencers and illegal hand grenades. And the affidavit also says that Prince, quote, views himself as a Christian crusader eliminating Muslims and the Islamic faith from the globe. To that end, Mr. Prince intentionally deployed to Iraq certain men who shared his vision of Christian supremacy. Many of these men used call signs based on the Knights of the Templar, the warriors who fought the Crusades. Mr. Prince operated his companies in a manner that encouraged and rewarded the destruction of Iraqi life. Going to Iraq to shoot and kill Iraqis was viewed as a sport or game. Strikingly similar allegations made in the affidavit of John Doe No. 1, a former U.S. Marine who worked for Blackwater in Iraq. He alleges that incidents of unjust...
Remember Trump just pardoned a bunch of guys, criminals from Blackwater last week too?
Justified deadly force were initially videotaped and watched in a session called a hot wash. Blackwater, now known as Z Services, spelled XE, maintains that Mr. Prince and the company are innocent of any wrongdoing and performed their duties on behalf of their employer, the State Department. Joining me now, as promised, the contributor to The Nation magazine and author of Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Most Powerful Mercenary Army, Jeremy Scahill. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me back, Keith.
As horrific as all this sounds, it's just part of what you described in the piece today. Flesh it out for us.
Well, I mean, obviously, to hear the term murder and Blackwater in the same sentence is no great surprise, particularly to people who've been following the history of this company. It's been at the center of some of the worst violence in Iraq, killing civilians repeatedly. 5 of its men are going to be tried on manslaughter charges for the Nicer Square massacre in Baghdad in September of '07. Another one pled guilty. The Congress is investigating. The IRS is investigating. This is a scandal-plagued company. What is explosive about what's happened here, and you just went through some of the most explosive of these details, is that you have 2 former Blackwater officials. I have learned from sources that John Doe No. 2 was actually in Blackwater management and was privy to some of the inner workings of the company. Eric Prince, the owner of Blackwater, remains the sole owner of the company no matter that he stepped down as CEO and a founder of the company. He micromanages every aspect of Blackwater's operations, and that's been well known. On the Christian supremacist angle, let's remember that Eric Prince viewed Blackwater as a neo-crusader force and has from the beginning. This is a guy who comes from one of the powerhouse families of the radical religious right. His father was a major bankroller and gave the seed money to Gary Bauer to start the Family Research Council. James Dobson focused on the family. And then we had his forces deployed in Iraq as part of a war against a Muslim nation that George Bush characterized as a crusade. What we have here, Keith, is a confirmation from insiders at Blackwater that, in fact, Eric Prince did have a neo-crusader agenda, and most explosively,
Neo-Crusader agenda. General Jerry Boykin, Alex Jones has referred to him many times. I believe he's been on the show as well. Another connection there, CMP.
May have murdered or facilitated the murder of individuals that were intending to or did cooperate in the federal government's criminal investigation of Blackwater. This is deadly serious.
Right, to the murder in a second, but you mentioned something in here that strikes an obvious question. How could the Bush administration, the State Department, have missed this crusader element here, or was that what they were looking for?
Missed it? I think it was considered a plus in the Bush White House. Remember, Keith, what we had here was the Bush administration essentially create a force that acted as an armed wing of the administration, not subject to the military command, not subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Justice, that reported directly to George Bush's Secretary of State and then to the president. These were his men, his private force in Baghdad, and the allegations that they were running around shooting Iraqis as part of a war to eliminate Islam globally, as is actually what one of these individuals said, is extremely disturbing to anyone who believes in any semblance of constitution, law, or human rights.
Some specifics, what you know about this is a strong term, murder, in court documents. This is under oath. This is not somebody throwing something up against a wall to see if it'll stick. Are we talking about something related to the 2007 Baghdad massacre, or something here?
It's unclear, but this is what I'll tell you what I do know about this, Keith. The fact of the matter is that these individuals in these sworn depositions provided those depositions to lawyers, Susan Burke and the Center for Constitutional Rights, that are suing Blackwater on behalf of Iraqis killed by Blackwater operatives in Iraq. They're suing them in civil litigation. What we do know is that these same individuals say that they gave this identical information to the federal government, one of them in grand jury testimony, as part of the ongoing criminal investigation. When I called the Justice Department and asked specifically, are you investigating Eric Prince on allegations that he was involved with murder, the Justice Department interestingly said that they would not confirm or deny any actions that they may or may not be taking against uncharged individuals. Eric Prince, according to the lawyers suing Blackwater, could be eligible for murder charges in both Virginia and the state of North Carolina under existing law. That's the argument they're making in their motion that was filed late last night in the Eastern District of Virginia.
Jeremy Scahill, who has been the watchdog on Blackwater, now Z of the Nation, who brought this story to everyone's attention today. Great thanks for doing so. And great.
Major General Vallely's Judeo-Christian beliefs also have been expressed in his support of the Jerusalem Summit Organization, that advocate the resettling of all Palestinian people to other surrounding Arab nations as a solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and to bring about the organization's belief that one of the objectives of Israel's divinely inspired rebirth is to make it the center of a new unity of the nations, which will lead to a new era of peace and prosperity. It doesn't end there. Vallely has been a consistent promoter of fear-mongering in regards to Islam. In a letter of support of the Veteran Defenders of America, he stated, "Perhaps the greatest threat to our safety and liberty is the threat of radical Islam. This threat goes well beyond the threat of terrorism. Islamists, both inside and outside of America, are looking for any and every way to infiltrate and subvert our country through what is known as stealth jihad." Vallely and his extended anti-Islam network surrounding Frank Gaffney have promoted all kinds of anti-Muslim conspiracy theories, such as claiming former CIA director John Brennan has been a secret Muslim.
By the way, Frank Gaffney, CNP signatory, he was at the Jericho March Stop the Steal rally as well, gave a speech on stage.
Hillary Clinton aide Umar Abedin has been part of a Muslim Brotherhood plot to infiltrate the United States, as well as a birther conspiracy claiming the 44th US President Barack Obama was not a natural-born citizen, therefore making him an illegitimate president. This issue of the birth certificate is what catapulted Donald Trump onto the political landscape. Looking into the background of Major General Vallely, the underlying philosophy of Trumpism, and certain statements from high-level political operatives, we can see a clear pattern of what can be described as a war on reality, or creation of a alt-reality.
Oh, I should be reading, maybe. This is Karl Rove saying that they basically create the news. You'll be left to just study what we do. Henry Kissinger, intelligence is not all that important in the exercise of power and is often, in point of fact, useless. And then there's alternative facts from Kellyanne Conway. Orwellian doublethink. She exposed Trump and then was hired by Trump and became a shill for him. Just a complete prostitute. Political prostitute. General Paul E. Valley, co-authored 1980 paper, then PSYOP Michael Aquino, PSYOP to Mind War, Psychology of Victory. Mind War is defined as the deliberate, aggressive convincing of all participants in a war that we will win the war. That's QAnon. The paper contrasts a use of psychological operations such as propaganda with a new approach. The paper contains this passage. Interesting, Mind War and Info Wars as well. deception, or even with selected and therefore misleading truth. Rather, it states a whole truth that if it does not now exist, will be forced into existence by the will of the United States. And he was a Satanist, Michael Aquino. He died recently. Matthew North was big interested into Mind Wars. Really wish he was around right now to talk about everything that's been transpiring.
John Brennan was the CIA station chief in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This is not prominently talked about on any of the mainstream media outlets. He stamped the...
Oh, interesting. Pete Santilli, who I just saw had Robert David Steele on the other day, asking him, what do you think's going to happen? Is Trump going to get in? And is Biden going to be arrested? Here he is with Major General Vallely.
9/11 hijackers' passports and allowed their paperwork to get through without even being, properly filled out. This is the same John Brennan we're having to contend with now. John Brennan, okay, we have still not held him accountable for that mistake in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and allowing those terrorists to fly into the World Trade Center towers and attacking our nation and changing the world forever. You're well aware of this, correct?
Correct. And he converted to Islam while he was in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, sir. We definitely want to highlight that.
Yeah, Santilli doesn't know who was behind 9/11. And here, by the way, I'm not defending Brennan, but they hate him so much. Could this be why? Israel helped kill bin Laden. Netanyahu is not an ethical man. Santilli fed post daily, yet is still platform. I haven't followed him for the longest time. I thought I remember one time Pete Santilli was protesting Alex Jones in front of his studio, and then now I just saw he was on Alex Jones a couple days ago. So obviously that's troubling. And he had Robert David Steele on, who's pushing Simon Parks and Charlie Ward and Mel K and all these QAnon trust the plan shills. Oh, wait. Okay, let's speed this up. Let's go to here.
Prior to that date, her affiliation with the CIA was not common knowledge outside the intelligence community.
A lot of this goes back to President Reagan, who is a Zionist frontman, actor, and Iran-Contra. Alex Jones recently said in a video that he's got some connections to Iran-Contra also.
This fact was a pivotal one in proving the case against Scooter Libby. A logical conclusion would be that Vallely was trying to establish a narrative that it was known outside intelligence that Plame worked for the CIA, and her husband was a source of this knowledge as an attempt to undermine the charges against Scooter Libby. Libby was assistant to the Vice President for National Security Affairs, Chief of Staff to the Vice President of the United States, and assistant to the President during the administration of President George W. Bush. Libby was convicted of 4 counts, 1 count of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of perjury, and 1 count of making false statements, making him the highest-ranking White House official convicted in a government scandal since John Poindexter, the National Security Advisor to President Reagan in the Iran-Contra affair. According to statements made by Vallely.
Oh, and by the way, yes, Scooter Libby is another Iran-Contra Zionist criminal who was pardoned by Donald Trump.
A week following the events of 9/11, he was recruited as a senior military analyst at Fox News.
But those that are listening to us are all of a sudden going to start calling us Islamophobic. I say I'm not against Islam per se. I'm against global Islamic terrorists, which I consider that he was assisting that in many ways, especially by letting those hijackers in. So 9/11 was never really fully properly investigated. We never held people accountable for the mistakes that were made. You had whistleblowers in the FBI that were saying, "Oh my goodness, you've seen all the signs, all the intel reports. This stuff was covered up. For what purposes do you believe? Was it for profits of war?"
There were a lot of conspiracy theories. We have the same thing going on today, and we sort of have to stay away from any of the conspiratorial things.
Yes, sir.
Until we can establish those, as facts. And, talking about John Brennan, he's got to be one of the first one. Durham and Barr have to indict.
Yes.
Along with about 6 others real quick. That's what I would do if I was Barr. Comey, Brennan, Clapper, and all tracks back to the Obama White House, too, by the way, just like Benghazi did. The week after 9/11...
Did you see that? John had it written up here that Obama wasn't in the White House in power on 9/11. What is he talking about? It all tracks back to Obama.
And And it all tracks back to the Obama White House, too, by the way, just like Benghazi did. The week after 9/11, Fox News hired me to be their senior military analyst, and I formed the military analyst team at Fox News up until 2000.
So right after 9/11, this guy got hired to be the military analyst on Fox News. What does that tell you? They're running cover for the wider intelligence network that he works for.
And then I've been in the intelligence business for a long, long time. My last 20 years in the Army was in special operations.
Special Operations Command, like Alex Jones says he's working with. This is John Swin, exposetheenemy.com.
Documents obtained by New York Times reporter David Barstow revealed that Vallely had been recruited as one of over 75 retired military officers involved in the Pentagon Military Analyst Program. Participants appeared on television and radio news shows as military analysts and/or penned newspaper op-ed columns. The program was launched in early 2002 by then Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs, Victoria Clark. The idea was to recruit key influentials to help sell a wary public on a possible Iraq invasion. Under the umbrella of the program, Vallely asked the Pentagon for input on an April 2006 Wall Street Journal editorial defending then Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld. As he began work on the op-ed, Vallely emailed, "Any input for the article will be appreciated," to Dallas B. Lawrence, the Defense Department's Director of Community Relations and Public Liaison.
There's Joseph Farah from WorldNet Daily. Remember I mentioned him earlier. He's the proud Zionist. They literally, at WorldNet Daily, they write articles about Moshiach's crown and we're building the third temple and the prophecies are coming true. That's where Jerome Corsi left there to go work for InfoWars. Christopher Ruddy, Newsmax, they're all tied in with the CNP. Scafey.
To talk more about it, we welcome in retired United States Army General Paul Vallely. He joins us from Newsmax, New York. He's also the chairman of Stand Up America. Paul, it's great to have you here.
Ask you something else that the president brought up during that interview with Jon Stewart is he kept saying that no one is offering an alternative to the deal that he has presented. What's your reaction to that?
Well, there's been several alternatives. The first of all is no deal. That's a solution that we all believe in, as Bibi Netanyahu does in Israel, who is the prime target over there, with the United States being the next big target.
We're doing what Bibi Netanyahu says he wants us to do. Tells you everything you need to know right there.
And speaking of grave concerns, Paul, you have said in the past, you have written articles saying it is your belief that Iran already possesses a nuclear weapon. That is ominous indeed. What leads you to believe that, Paul?
Well, over the past year, JD, my intel analysts have taken all the evidence, hard evidence, facts, intel reports coming from inside Iran and from the Middle East, and they have, for the past decades, have gotten the support from Russia, from North Korea, and from China. So it's a cabal that's been set up to support the Iranian nuclear program. They have the launch systems, they have the guidance control system, they have the detonation system, they have the warhead. And guess what?
And mind you, this all plays exactly, they're all connected to CNP, right? Council for National Policy. The founder of that, I did the document, or I've shown it before, Tim LaHaye. He believes that Russia is Gog and Magog and that them in Syria means that the end time Armageddon war is about to happen. They want it to happen. They want mass suffering, mass deaths, the birth pangs of the Moshiach, so that Israel can set up their one world government, one world religion, one world currency, mark of the beast, anoint their Antichrist Moshiach king in the temple, and then Jesus will return. This is what they're all trying to play out.
Russia and North Korea has tested everything for them. All they have to do is put it together, JD, like a tinker toy. And that's why they have the nuclear capability now, and this agreement is really a moot point. The only reason Iran wants to do it, to get released some $150 billion from sanction money they can take to use to further their programs.
Jerome Corsi promoting QAnon on InfoWars. I already showed the clip of that. Shift with treason to QAnon. There's Jerome Corsi. Big promoter of QAnon. Says he gets text messages from above Israeli intelligence on Alex Jones' show. True News at least used to be completely tied in with all these people. And then they have on Roger Stone and give him the nice puff piece interview, like to try to help promote him to get a pardon. On True News, Paul Valehi, 2014. Rick admits that he used to be tied in with all of the Zionists. Like Pastor Jonathan Kahn, who was at the Jericho March, Doug Hagman, Jerome Corsi, Boykin. Alex Jones talks about Boykin as being involved with the military that he's working with. Gaffney, Bannon, Woolsey, Lieberman. Remember Joe Lieberman attended the Chabad Lubavitch conference? Said that Chabad Lubavitch is bigger than the CIA? Yeah, he's connected with this crew. Newt Gingrich, who was a favorite in 2012, funded by Sheldon Adelson.
General Dalley, I have a question for you from our chat room on the American Rock Radio fan page. Do you know who the individual calling himself or themselves, if it's an organizational effort, Q? What do you know about that? Was that part of the PSYOP? What are you at liberty to say? Or is it a bunch of bunk?
Well, let me just tell you the QAnon's tied to information. It comes out of a group called the Army of Northern Virginia.
Army of Northern Virginia. That's Paul Valehi, top military analyst on Fox News right after 9/11, legitimizing QAnon. Here you go. Maybe this is why there's no real investigations into QAnon. You don't think QAnon is a Zionist setup after hearing that?
Okay.
After hearing everything?
No, this is a group of military intelligence specialists.
Nobody is exposing QAnon quite like this, thanks to John Swinn's great research and the stuff I've showed you today that we've been collecting over years.
Over 800 people that advise the president.
And so,
the president doesn't have a lot of confidence in the CIA or even the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, as much anymore. So he relies on these real operators. Most of them are special operations type of people.
Yep.
And so this is where Q...
Special operations type of people, just like Alex Jones talked about.
Q picks up and gets some of their information, as I understand it.
That's where Q gets their information, as I understand it. Oh, he says here, I was appointed by, this is Valehi, I was appointed by President Reagan when he made special ops a separate service under a 4-star general. I helped to organize and put that together, says Valehi. It is referring to the USAISA, the same group behind PSYOPs, and who Valehi says is behind QAnon. He set it up, likely with Steve Pieczenik. And they ran it through InfoWars. Steve Pieczenik already said it. He said, I did this through InfoWars. We chose you. We anointed you to be our propaganda mouthpiece. Okay. Army of Northern Virginia is Field Operations Group. Intelligence Support Activity, Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC. I'm going to play the Alex Jones clips of him talking about being involved with all of this stuff. Yeah, they sure did do a good job mind effing everybody, Sarah B. And a part of me is worried that we will see a serious Zionist coup. I hope that they're just blowing smoke, and it was just disinfo. I do not want to see a martial law Zionist coup on the country. U.S. Army intelligence buildup. Okay. Special Operations Forces, Delta Force. Alex Jones says that Steve Pieczenik founded Delta Force. SEAL Team 6. What else do we have? The Army of Northern Virginia was the primary military force of the Confederate States of America in the Eastern Theater of the American Civil War, the primary command structure of the Department of Northern Virginia. It was most often arrayed against the Union Army of the Potomac.
Excellent. Well, Michael Murphy is kind of an old hippie, you might say, out here, but he was the founder of the Esalen Institute down below Big Sur, which is a kind of a place where you go to open up your mind and your brain and schmooze with other people. And he also founded a think tank up in the Bay Area called the Transformation Project with a gentleman named Steve Donovan.
I remember Matthew North saying that the Esalen Institute was like Soviet controlled.
So in the 80s, when I was working very intensely in these areas of what you might call the brain architecture and thought architecture and how it works, sooner or later, I ran into Steve Donovan. Actually, the way I did that was that Michael Murphy wrote a book called An End to Ordinary History, which was a very thinly veiled fiction story about psychic experimentation in the Soviet Union. I picked it up in a Berkeley bookstore at some point. I read this book and I said, you know what? This sounds a hell of a lot. You know, that he knows a lot more that he's talking about here than just writing a story. So I got a hold of Michael Murphy and I said, you know, I think your book is not a story. I think it's thinly veiled nonfiction. He said, well, you're right. And he said, if you want to talk about it, he says, you want to talk to Steve Donovan. So Steve Donovan had a nice little apartment down here in the marina in San Francisco. And his apartment was jammed with file cabinets in which psychic research and mental research from all over the world was in there. I mean, the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency had nothing like this. Nothing. So I was like a kid in a candy store. You know, I went in there and I said, Steve, can I just rummage? And he said, be my guest. He was very affable about the whole thing. So a lot of the information, you know, that I used to develop in Mind War began with documentation and things that I first came into when I was looking through the files of the Transformation Project. And
that's an incredible story.
Yeah, well, this happened because both Steve Donovan and Michael Murphy spent a lot of time in the 60s and 70s in the Soviet Union talking with the people back there who were at the very forefront of this kind of experimentation. And the United States, of course, this is a Cold War, so we didn't have our people, you know, our agents or our attachés or anything doing this. They wouldn't have gotten a welcome. But the people like Steve Donovan and Michael Murphy would go over there on their vacation time and talk with these people and get together and have vodka with them and so on and learn all kinds of stuff and then bring it back.
I got to ask you, General, this is another question that I talked about with another fellow that I was talking with just the other day. Do you personally know or have you had interactions with General Michael Flynn?
Yes.
You guys know each other pretty well?
Fairly well.
And have you spoken?
In fact, I was in Moscow a couple months before he went over, so I talked to him before he left. And then
remember, General Flynn, who did the QAnon pledge, who had the interview, the exclusive sit-down interview with Alex Jones the night before the storm, who all the Q people hailed as their white hat hero. Now we have Vallely on Russia Today saying that, yes, he's friends with General Flynn.
Then when he left to go over there and go to the 10th banquet of Russian television, and he sat with Putin. I had been in Moscow 2 months earlier than that, setting up the meeting between Trump and Putin, which I did while I was there.
Oh.
And that was at the G20 conference in 2017. So, yes.
Remember, we've seen many reports that Russian bots are promoting QAnon. That could be why all the BitChute videos are getting so many views. They're being propped up by Kremlin troll farm bots. And don't you try to pretend that Trump isn't in deep with Putin and Netanyahu and Chabad Lubavitch, and of course Russia has bots. Russia's internet research agency was busted for it.
Michael
Putin's
Flynn
friend.
must be vindicated. He was one of the individuals that the deep state attacked first, as you remember. And what they've done to that gentleman, who's a great patriot and a soldier, have just harmed him and his family so much. So I think all of that's going to be...
Flynn is a darling of the Zionist, and sitting at the table with Putin.
He turned around for General Flynn. We'll see what happens shortly.
General to Tea Party groups, I would lead a coup against the U.S. government. Oh, and what do you know? We just saw that the Tea Party group was funded by the Jewish Federation of New York, and that they were involved with the Stop the Steal. I can see here John Brisson, Council for National Policy series. He came on. We did a video on the CMP as well. So that was John Swin. Expose the Enemy. He's got some other really great graphics and videos and research. Follow him on YouTube and on Twitter, exposetheenemy.com. Now, I just wanted to play a couple clips now of Alex Jones. We mentioned Boykin. We mentioned Steve Pachenik, Special Operations Command.
I think it should be...
This is the video I did a while back. Alex Jones exposes Q. Oh, here's Jerome Corsi, WorldNet Daily, gets text messages from above Israeli intelligence.
And that's when I told the people who'd asked me that I said, yes, I'll do it. So that's that chronology.
Yep.
This level of intelligence had been shared with the public, and that the format was, the 8chan was exactly kind of the deep way to share it with the Anons that had been chosen by Trump as the way this message was going to get out. And they wanted me to get involved in it. And that's when I did the first decodes. As soon as I started looking at them and realizing what Q was saying, and I did a couple of decodes, then I understood what was going on. And so by Christmas time, I was then willing to commit to do it. And that's when I told the people who'd asked me that I said, yes, I'll do it. So that's that chronology.
Yeah, breaking exclusive news from Dr. Jerome Corsi and his extensive connections in the Middle East.
Israel.
Where he served as an advisor to the State Department and more, and a lot of classified areas we can't get into. He has major breaking news exclusive right now. Dr. Corsi, thanks for giving InfoWars the exclusive.
Well, Alex, it's great. I'm actually today in Nashville, Tennessee, and working with a really important cybersecurity company.
Nashville, Tennessee. That reminds me of something. Nashville, Tennessee, where the bomb went off recently, right? The bomb went off recently in Nashville, Tennessee, in front of what? Cybersecurity companies, correct?
And I just got text from top intelligence in Israel. Israel has nominated Donald Trump for the 2017 Peace Prize. He was nominated last year. There's about 200 nominations, but this is in advance of Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit with Trump, which is coming up in the next few days. And Israel has decided to make this nomination basically on the decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, and the fact that Donald Trump has had the courage of his convictions. Again, another promise in the campaign being fulfilled, taking, I think, an historic, maybe even biblical step to legitimate the state of Israel.
Oh, a biblical step, huh? The embassy is a biblical step to this Zionist fraud who thinks you have to bless Israel and you'll be blessed. This is the guy, two of the biggest pushers of QAnon early on, that got the ball rolling, that created this beast that even if they did disavow it at one point and say it got hijacked or turned anti-Semitic or whatever, they still helped create the beast, create the Frankenstein.
And the way I read the Bible basically says those who help Israel, God helps, and Donald Trump's on the right side here.
Well, certainly providence that he invoked during the inaugural speech is with our republic. And of course, England began to help the Jews when they were being persecuted going back 1,000 years ago in Europe. And of course, it's been known since then. That's why England had so much great providence.
Did you know that, England, that you had providence because you helped the Jews? Yeah, the world revolves around the Jews, so if you do good things for them, you're blessed. Talk about the biggest scam of all time. Cringe, boomer, Zionist, traitorous statements there from the both of them.
And also, of course, the Christian faith and Christ being number one. But that covenant has clearly been passed on, not just to all the Gentiles of the world through Christ, but particularly...
well, guess what? These Orthodox Habadniks in Israelis that you're all supporting think that Christianity is idol worship, yet they always use the religion. They're using Christian Zionism to dominate America.
To England and the United States, historians, even people that are anti-Western, have marveled that the United States of America has a special providence, Dr. Corsi.
Yes, well, even
U.S. has a special providence for helping the Jews. Meanwhile, as I just saw in the chat, yes, they wanted this. They believe it's their prophecies to destroy America and Europe, which is Amalek and Edom.
Well, we're talking, I mean, Israel, I just got another text message. I said we were going to break the news on Alex Jones' InfoWars broadcast. They said one word. They said, great. They're thrilled we're going to break the news on Alex Jones' InfoWars. And that comes directly from a source who's really above Mossad and the intelligence structure in Israel.
Yeah, so folks are really getting things raw here on air now.
I can never play this clip too many times to show he hired this guy who gets text messages from above Mossad and Israeli intelligence who is, quote, thrilled and great that they're going to break news on InfoWars, one of their Zionist propaganda mouthpieces.
Yeah, and so this is really, I mean, this is coming in as we're talking.
Yeah, so folks are really getting things raw here on air now.
Yeah, you're outed, shill.
How did you get?
Now, this is a little
Trump.
compilation, and much of this I want to credit to Matthew North. Many of these clips, much of this research, I learned from him about Alex Jones and all of his military connections, John Birch Society connections, General Boykin, Steve Pachenik, Mind Wars, Aquino, all of this stuff. Jones, in his own word now, is going to admit to all of it.
On your show prior to the election, how did you pull that off?
All right, I never tell this on my own show, and this will probably end up being news tomorrow, but you deserve it. I know folks that are part of Delta Force, and I know people that are part of covert action in the Defense Department and the CIA. And quite frankly, they've given me authorization to talk about this. I have never been in the CIA. I have never been part of covert operations, but I was basically contacted by groups inside Special Forces operations in Florida, inside breakaway groups inside the Central.
Special operations in Florida, Tampa, Florida, USS US SOCOM, Special Operations Command. Notice all of these emblems are tip of the spear. Alex Jones's tagline, the tip of the spear.
Intelligence agency and groups basically behind American industry that
By
wanted
the way,
to defeat the global.
Again, this is just Wikipedia too. USA Special Operations Command, the Rangers, unknown units such as Psychological Operations, PSYOPs, Civil Affairs Brigade, waging unconventional warfare and counterinsurgency. The command also manages 2 psychological operations groups. One works with foreign nations to induce or reinforce behavior favorable to U.S. Zionist objectives. Alex Jones, QAnon, Judeo-Christian Zionist PSYOP.
They're planning to bankrupt America. And so they told me that they were advising Trump on the globalist takeover and that they understood from their demographics and their studies that we actually had conservatively 15 million people a week visiting Infowars.com and tens of millions watching our videos, and that they had briefed the president, or now then candidate Trump, and that they wanted to attempt a counter coup against the globalists.
But this is what got Donald Trump to say, I got to be on this guy's show?
Donald Trump was advised by the Special Forces Command out of Florida. They said
To go on your program.
I mean, that's who actually, let's just say it, the enemy already knows all this. Let me just say, so everybody listening knows I'm telling the truth. Special Operations Command in Florida, the Delta Force, Army, Black Ops, Army's the oldest thing in America. It's before the Constitution, anything. They said, sir, you need to go with Alex Jones. and you need to rally the troops. And and they briefed him. They showed him the documents, and they said, we need you to run. And the Delta Force basically asked Trump. Delta Force, founded by General Boykin and Schumacher.
There's General Boykin. Remember, we saw the graphics of Boykin involved in this, in the QAnon LARP with General Vallely. It's all there. Jones admitting to all of it.
And people like Dr. C. Pachenik of Psychological Operations of the CIA.
Dr. Pachenik, again, I mean, you don't do a lot of other interviews. You've been nice to come on my show for 15 years. It's on record with General Boykin and with Schumacher. You helped found Delta Force, Black Ops, ran psychological warfare, overthrown 8 countries. You're the Jack Ryan character. Co-wrote books with Clancy, Hollywood producer. You've done it all. Psychiatrist, MIT scientist, military officer, all that secret, obviously, in your history. But here you are saying you represent the intelligence community, and I check with people, generals, colonels, they go, absolutely, Pachenik's on target. That's exactly what all our sources from the FBI and the Pentagon, which means the CIA connected Pentagon, that's special operations, that's what they told us. And these are the good guys that continue to give us good info. Doesn't mean the whole thing's good. InfoWars is the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear.
Just total signaling to all the people in the know about the tip of the spear, who he's involved with. I started this video 3 hours ago now with Alex Jones. Steve Pachenik telling Alex Jones, remember on 9/11 when I first came on, all the intelligence people were watching you? Exactly.
Things good. InfoWars is the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear, the tip of the spear. Oh, Alex Jones is wrong about Anthony Bourdain. Hey, Joe, I talked to the people that were there in the production at the highest levels. They're involved in the Pentagon, everything else. I know all about it. Elon Musk. I mean, Joe.
Oh, who's involved with Anthony Bourdain? He was only mentioning Black Cube, Israeli private intel. Just like Cappy was talking about, Isaac Cappy was talking about Black Cube. Interesting enough, he was also tied in with this Q LARP as well. Both of them just happened to commit suicide talking about Black Cube. What do you know?
I'm not going to tell you, who I talked to yesterday or who I talked to this afternoon. So just let's quit pretending that we aren't the tip of the spear. Let's quit pretending that we aren't the tip of the spear. 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 The tip of the spear.
They basically delivered the message to Trump with all the dossiers and all the proof of what was happening. And he just said, you're highly recommended. All I can say is we're going to be talking a lot more because he was being briefed by top generals. I'm not going to say the name on what we're doing. And it's not that I'm even special. I'm willing to say this.
Getting briefed by top generals? Who wants to bet that's General Vallely that John Swin just exposed in his documentary?
I'm willing to do this. I wasn't directed by anybody. I was just aware of the operations. I was studying it. As you know, you're a Navy guy yourself. And we just did what we had to do. We did a counter coup against them. I'd say 90% of the CIA, defense intelligence, military, special ops is behind us. George, you're getting the absolute data dump right now.
So there's a real war going on in the elite right now. Don't think Trump just did this on his own. He was recruited by patriots and U.S. intelligence agencies for a fact. Trump was recruited by the U.S. Army. That's a big secret, but you deserve to know what the Democrats already know.
How come nobody in mainstream media can put any of this together? It's up to people like John Swin, Expose the Enemy, and myself to dig deep into this. Literally the Zionist, the foreigner Zionist worshipers that are running a coup on the country.
You deserve to understand what's really going on. There's a civil war in America right now. One group wanted to totally sell out the communist Chinese. That's coming up in the next segment. The other group isn't out to rape America completely.
There's the dialectic. Just admitting the other group doesn't want to rape us completely. He's talking about the Zionists. This false dichotomy that it's you either align with Netanyahu and the Zionists or you're the SJWs and the communists and the Chi-Coms, as if that's the paradigm. Meanwhile, the Israelis and the Chi-Coms are working closely together.
So you're kind of stuck between that.
I can't believe it.
Stuck between that. John Swin, I just saw, is in the chat again. He says that Coast to Coast is deep tied in with all of us as well. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
I mean, telling us right now, I'm just going to go all the way right now. And the situation in Syria and Egypt and our friends in Israel. You say people want to demonize Israel all day. It's because because the real folks that are in Israel, the real people, understand what it is to be persecuted and targeted. And Israel, with Benjamin Netanyahu, they're trying to remove from office right now. And again, I was never even a fan of Netanyahu. I wasn't his enemy. I just wasn't studying it.
I was never against him. I just wasn't studying it enough. And now Netanyahu is our friend, and people attack him for no reason. And Netanyahu's our real friend in Israel. Yeah, Ivanka's 8 patents in China. Jones isn't a Zionist shill. He just tells you that people hate Netanyahu for no reason, and that if you study it more, you'll actually like Netanyahu. That's what he tells you. Here comes Netanyahu and the cavalry to save Trump and save America.
Have come to America's aid to defeat this.
You can say what you want about Netanyahu, folks. He's not trying to overthrow the U.S. He's rooting for our economy. He's trying to support Trump. They're trying to remove him. Say what you want about Netanyahu. Everybody, it's just so fashionable to hate Netanyahu and not know why.
Yeah, you're a Netanyahu shill, you fraud.
Just know this. There's large elements of the Israel lobby trying to stabilize the United States. And
Netanyahu literally wrote like the books on the war on terror, deeply involved with pushing us into all those wars after 9/11. Deeply involved in 9/11, in my opinion. His weekly phone calls with Larry Silverstein, the owner of the buildings, meeting with the Rebbe, telling him do more to usher the Moshiach. The tech agenda for Israel to dominate in tech and rule the world with a technocracy, the mark of the beast. Oh, Netanyahu is on film in a family's home in the West Bank, illegal settlements. And he says, oh, we can do whatever we want. The evangelical Americans, they support us no matter what we do. Laughing at our faces.
Actually trying to stop the complete...
Yeah, the Israeli lobby is stabilizing the United States. You heard that right, damn Bigfoot.
You can say what you want about Netanyahu, folks. He's not trying to overthrow the U.S. He's rooting for our economy. He's trying to support Trump. They're trying to remove him. Say what you...
Netanyahu calls China the match made in heaven, setting up the Belt and Road Initiative. They're gonna destroy America, collapse America, bleed us dry, take us for everything we got, exploit us, and then they're gonna destroy us and then move on and use Israel, Russia, and China and rule the new world, the new messianic age.
What about Netanyahu? Everybody, it's just so fashionable to hate Netanyahu and not know why. Just know this. There's large elements of the Israel lobby trying to stabilize the United States and actually trying to stop the complete race war overthrow of the country. Because
the Israeli lobby is trying to stop the race war, as they all were so quick to condemn the Trump supporters as white supremacists. What a fraud, Jones. You sold out your country. I hope the shekels were worth it. No wonder you're drinking yourself to death. Like you're going to have a heart attack any day. Hope the guilt is eating at your soul, you fraud.
George Soros, that came out in documents last year in WikiLeaks and in others, that he wants to overthrow Israel. So Israel finally gets it. That, okay, they want to overthrow Israel. They want to overthrow the U.S. They want to overthrow free market. And what, replace it with a bunch of Muslims killing each other? And now we actually have parts of the Israel lobby turning against Hollywood and the leftist lobby and turning against all those crazy self-hating Jews and other people in Hollywood and in D.C. And there is a civil war really going on inside the Israel lobby to a great extent. And like the cavalry, here comes Netanyahu over here supporting what Trump's doing.
Here comes the cavalry with Netanyahu to save us. Unbelievable. The biggest shill of all time.
It's the Israel lobby, the conservative Israel lobby. There's more than one that is backing the tax cuts, backing the basic Trump agenda. And that's being done out of self-preservation. Fighting the Chapman. Fog of confusion, attacking the platforms, yes.
And no leader, I mean, first of all, no leader like QAnon, why would you attack prominent spokespeople in the movement?
Oh, I forgot about this clip. I didn't even know this was here. This is where they say Q turned anti-Semitic.
They are. What do you think you're doing here, my friend?
Oh, this is good. Watch this. I forgot about this clip. Oh man, it just gets so much better. I should just play the whole thing.
Exactly. If you kind of look at the people
waking up to this completely, and that is a powerful lobby and on average a wealthy group of people, and to have that whole group now against the globalist is just absolutely devastating. And so you're saying Rothschilds are backing Trump versus the eugenics-based Rockefellers?
Exactly. If you kind of look at the people behind...
I got told that my CIA sources 3 years ago. They said, oh, you're bashing the Rothschilds. Watch what they're about to do. They're going to try to actually give wealth back to the people. Not because they're even good. They don't want a total worldwide bloodbath.
And so I'm
Yeah, the Rothschilds giving wealth back to the people. The founders of Israel giving wealth back to the people. Yeah, the Rothschilds are patriots now, says Alex Jones.
just revealing to you here on air that I was recruited by patriot elements inside the shadow government to take on a communist Chinese funding operation. It's not Russian.
I'm a stay-behind network for America. I'm fighting the Chinese globalist takeover. I'm fighting the Chinese globalist takeover. I'm fighting the Chinese globalist takeover.
Trump's administration's consideration of hiring a spy team of its own. And I'm also going to hear from, we're also going to hear from Alex Jones here in the first hour.
No, and Pat Raleigh with his son. Bring him on over.
Hey, can we get Alex a chair and mic, please? Come on, sit down, Alex. I actually want to know.
I'm going to leave, but listen.
Do you know about this, Alex?
Trump gossip editor rocked, or no, top gossip editor rocked by sex allegations. No, I don't know.
No, I'm talking about this story. Trump White House weighing plans for private spies to counter deep state enemies. So now they're going to be working with Eric Prince from Blackwater, and Mike Pompeo is basically going to set up his own team of spies to go against the anti-Trump people inside the Mueller administration. Yes, I did know about that. So it looks like they're going full bore, and they are.
What do you think you're doing here, my friend?
What do you think you're doing here, my friend? Alex Jones, Eric Prince, all of these QAnon Zionist traitors. He admits it right there. Pompeo, what did he say? And Eric Prince, Blackwater, creating an army of spies. Jones just admitted that's what Schroyer's doing.
What do you think you're doing here, my friend?
Well, I thought I was working for Russia. What, are you telling me I don't work for Russia?
No, you work for QAnon.
Yeah, Eric Prince is connected to Russia, right? And General Flynn. And Paul Vallely.
Put out a lot of exclusive info that was accurate, made a lot of predictions that were accurate up front. Then a lot of things started to be said that weren't exactly accurate or didn't happen. And then I noticed mainstream media and online, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube wouldn't block you when you were promoting that. And I thought, that's a little suspicious. But I talked to people I know in the military and others. They said, no, we know some of the people on those boards using that name. There's only 5 or 6 people. But then it started getting a little bit weird, and they said, no, somebody's hijacked it and basically hacked it and is using it and is now putting out disinformation. Like Zach, super good source. I know his full name, who he is. We got a lot of other big sources in the military. I mean, I've got sources, I'm not going to say from what units or groups, but the most elite, of the most elite, highest level, we have it. I'm going to leave it at that. CIA, Dev Group, Delta Force, you name it, all of it, whole 9 yards, because they're patriots, and they know what this country is in right now, where we're going. And Dr. Corsi's written 3 #1 New York Times bestsellers. He's changed elections. He's got amazing sources. He got told by the White House 6 months ago, hey, we like QAnon. But now that's not the case. And so I was on the phone this morning and talked to some folks who are out playing golf with people that have been involved in QAnon. They say, hey, that's been taken over. We're unable to even post anymore. That's not us anymore. And then Corsi was right on the same line 2 days ago in private conversations we had saying, hey, it's been compromised. Then I was sitting.
Good question. Where is Zach now? And blocked by Jerome Corsi. What a fraud. What a traitor. What a sellout. What a coward. These guys are thoroughly exposed. This is pathetic.
Talk about it on air. Then I was separately told this by QAnon. So I'm going to say again, I've talked to QAnon. There's only about 5, 6 people that have actually been posting. I've talked to QAnon, and they're saying QAnon is no longer QAnon.
You're correct. I think the White House for a long time did support QAnon. I've been following it since December. And then periodically there would be cyber attacks and it would shift. It was clear that the QAnon identity was under attack. The real shift occurred really on April 28th. That's when I really began concluding that QAnon was now completely hijacked by a operation that had hijacked the identity and was starting to publish disinformation designed to destroying the movement and dividing the movement. The posts changed in quality and their content. We started to get attacks on people profiteering, making money. You know, you can't make any money on the patriot movement if you make any money.
So we started to see a fog of confusion attacking the platforms, yes.
And no leader, I mean, first of all, no leader like QAnon, why would you attack prominent spokespeople in the movement, attacking, me for...
QAnon attacked Corsi, Alex Jones, and Jack Posobiec, called them all Mossad.
Writing a book and making money on writing a book. And so I'm...
Probably to throw them under the bus and to give QAnon a credibility boost, because myself and so many others have been exposing Alex Jones as a fraud. So that gives Q credibility to call Alex Jones Mossad. And that's why Alex Jones started becoming jealous of QAnon, that they're making the money, that QAnon's getting the credit.
Began to get then just, inundated with troll type emails and postings on Twitter attacking
around death on with it.
So, God bless Q, stay above the fray and keep it coming. Keep loving, keep searching, keep connecting all those dots. And pretty soon it'll just hit tipping point and all the bad will just float away.
Amen. Thank you, Rosanna. And
all the bad is just going to float away. The fantasies that these people push with this QAnon stuff is just incredible. I wanted to touch real quick on BitChute, this guy, Charlie Ward, who's 72,000. You see the loves Q in his photo here. This guy is putting out these. He starts every video by saying, "Just remember, Jesus loves you," and then he pitches his gold. He goes, "Buy some gold. I'm not. I don't have the credibility to push this. I'm not an expert, but buy gold, buy gold." And then he just goes, "Trust the plan, grab your popcorn, patriots are in charge," nonstop. And we've got Robert David Steele endorsing these guys. Robert David Steele, total fraud. Robert David Steele. Look at this video he has up right now on BitChute. It says, "Is Q a fraud? In support of Charlie Ward and Simon Parks." Yeah, that's the Simon Parks that believes he has sex with cats and that his mom is an alien. Robert David Steele, the guy that on InfoWars a few years ago says that there's slave colonies on Mars. Steve Quayle too. Yeah, I'm sure he is. I haven't seen him for a long time. David Wilcox. What's the other guy's name? Jordan Sather. There's so many of these QAnon grifting frauds. Like I said, QAnon has been like a multi-million-dollar industry scamming poor, vulnerable, gullible people out of their money. QAnon was a massive disinformation Zionist honeypot trap that's setting up all their followers. And we got 2 more days, 48 hours. I don't want to see anybody that pushed this QAnon stuff, Amazing Polly, SGT Report, X22, Steve Pachenik, InfoWars, Jerome Corsi, they should be completely discredited forever. Nobody should listen to these people anymore. Don't let them backpedal and say, "Oh, well, I wasn't saying for sure Q was going to happen," or "I didn't totally believe it," or "I didn't really support it." Don't let them take down their videos and try to come back and try to rehabilitate their careers. Discredited forever. Frauds, grifters, sellouts, garbage. Anyway, that is all I have for today. 3-hour and 20-minute video. Remember, we're streaming on No More News Clips, KMN Clips channel on YouTube until they ban that one too, like my other 2 YouTube channels. And we're streaming on DLive right now, but I was demonetized on DLive. So if you guys want to support my work, support actually information-based, fact-based information where I show you the proof. I don't just tell you to trust me and trust the plan, and that I talked to my super secret contacts and they told me that Q is going to handle everything. Got to support the information that's valuable to you. Got to support the truth. Getting attacked by the ADL, getting attacked by Canary Mission, being subverted every which with all their dirty tricks. I'm putting the link in the chat. nomorenews.org. Donate page if you guys want to support. Sign up with the newsletter. Contact me if you guys want to get in contact. There's the contact form there. And I believe that is all. Appreciate you guys all so much. Thanks for watching. I'm going to put this up on BitChute, probably in a part 1 and a part 2. Please share it. Check out some of my last few videos that I've been doing if you missed those. And I will see you guys all again very soon. Take care.